It's Thursday, November 4th. Coming up live on The View. They're not dancing around the issues in Hot Topics. From why Bristol Palin said she was too busy to vote on Tuesday, to whether President Obama's speech sent the right message, and the backlash over sexy costumes some say were too hot for Halloween. Plus, Shannon Doherty's exposing whether she really earned her nasty reputation on the set of 90210, if she ever made peace with her castmates, and why she still thinks it's good to be a badass. And Laurie David's lunching with the ladies to tell them why she and ex-husband Larry David make it a point to reunite around the dinner table with their kids, and why every family should too. All that, Hot Topics and more, coming up live on The View.
Welcome to The View. We'll talk about this in a minute, but the fallout of the historic election results have been clogging up the headlines, so you may have missed what we feel is truly breaking news. Are you ready? It turns out that Billy Joel's song Uptown Girl was not about his wife, Christy Brinkley. It was about another supermodel, Elle McPherson.
Stop it.
Scandalous.
Stop it.
This was it.
But, you know, Christy Brinkley is in the video where he's singing, so he's, like, cheating on her in the video.
I remember seeing it. Yeah. I remember being a young girl and seeing it. I used to try to walk like Christy Brinkley when she was going down the thing, and I thought all the bios said, you know, this was Christy Brinkley, what's his uptown. It made it more romantic for me.
Of course it does. I cannot stand when you find out a song is not actually about the name in the song or the person in the video.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
I like to live in that pretend world.
You must be really upset to find out that Sweet Caroline is about Caroline Kennedy.
Devastated.
What, who would you think it was about?
I don't know. I never give this stuff any thought. But since it's, you know.
That's
I think when Rick
name.
Springfield did Jesse's Girl, it wasn't
Mitch.
Jesse, it was like Mitch's
Somebody,
girl. But that
Matthew's
didn't sound
girl
good.
or no. It's upsetting to me.
Jesse,
It's all make-believe.
No.
Yeah, it's all it's music.
When Steve Harry's saying, "Oh, Sherry," I'm
politics.
still thinking.
It's really oh, Melissa.
I don't think he was talking
It's
about
really
you,
not
man.
Sherry.
I don't want to break your heart, but here's what happened. So now, after Tuesday's shift of power at the polls, President Obama gave a speech wondering if his rush to save the economy through bailouts and stimulus packages, maybe he forgot an important step. Take a look.
When I won election in 2008, one of the reasons I think that people were excited about the campaign was the prospect that we would change how business is done in Washington. And we were in such a hurry to get things done that we didn't change how things got done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was trying to get a lot done in a very short time, and
I think he was trying to get. I think people were clamoring for him to get it done. I mean, he came into this position in one of the worst economic crises, and people were saying, we need something now.
I have to hand it to the Republicans, though, I must say. For 2 years, they said no, no, no to everything he presented. Now they're saying for the next 2 years, we're going to get him out. When are they going to do something?
No, not all Republicans are actually saying that. Actually, a lot of Republicans right now are saying that they want to work across the aisle. You know, last night was interesting because we typically see you know, a very strong president giving speeches, and I think a lot of people were saying, and even he may have indicated that he felt sad about what happened. He felt really down. But
I felt sad because a lot of people lost their positions in the House.
Yeah, how about the jobs that have been lost across the country? Now you're sad?
Hang on, let me finish. He wasn't sad about that.
Let me just finish. All I'm saying is to say yesterday that he's upset about those jobs lost, and I know obviously it's got to affect him, but that speech to me, just all I could think of was, now you're sad?
But
where have you been? Now you're surprised that the country's...
It takes he hasn't been sad.
I can't get this out, but what I'm trying to say...
Go ahead.
Hear me. No. It takes a shift, a monumental, historic shift in governmental power to make you realize that people don't support your policy. Where have you been? It's been over almost 2 years since you've been elected.
I think you misunderstood...
It's upsetting.
I think you misunderstood what he was saying. What he said is he feels bad that they lost their gigs because of him, because of his policies and what he believes. That's what he was saying. But the difference is, you know, I wanna say something to all the folks that keep saying, you know, he's lost jobs. You know, you can't say stay out of the government. You want government out, but we want you a glove. We want you to get jobs. I'm pissed at the people who have released all these people into the companies that have let them go.
They're
the
facing,
corporations.
they were looking at a fear of taxes.
Listen, the corporations don't pay hardly any taxes.
What about small businesses? You know where most of the firing
but they're not firing
small and middle businesses because they can't afford it right now in this economy.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. What I'm seeing, I live downtown in Manhattan. All the small businesses there were tossed out by bigger businesses. Yeah. Things like you know, I don't want to say the name of the store because now I feel bad because it put a lot of people to work. But giant businesses come in and shut these little businesses down. But I'm not upset with the little businesses. I understand if you're one person and it's small. I'm pissed off at the big companies who give themselves gigantic bonuses and then hack all these jobs away. And then everybody's going, well, there's lots of people. I want them to be
we're looking at right now, there's a state of what, not only chronic unemployment, which has gone up to like 12 and 14% in some states for over 6 months in time. Okay, that's historic and it's sad. What about the state of chronic underemployment right now, where people who are cutting back hours, people who used to have full-time jobs with benefits, don't have them anymore. Now they're working part-time for these companies
besides
too.
tax cuts, what are they proposing to get the jobs going?
Well, corporations, thanks to Nancy Pelosi pushing that for her time in office.
A lot of these corporations have been holding back on hiring and moving because they're waiting for the economy to pick up. Well,
they're waiting for taxes that were promised to them that were coming by the president and his staff.
What about taxes for us? I would like some taxes for us. You know, and you know how I feel about taxes. I just, you know what? I understand that business needs to be there, but what do we manufacture in this country?
Well, that's
been going on a long time. We could be hiring people. We could be doing stuff, but you know what? The gridlock between the Democrats and the Republicans and all the other talking heads. Please, somebody. You got a message from America? I don't think you understood what the message was. The message is stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about the people.
And that's kind of what I feel. I feel like when I say something, one thing, it just feels like, you know, okay, American has spoken. We have a lot of Republicans in. I just feel like we're voting for the same thing that we kind of voted out, the same thing that was implemented. We're voting it back in.
What is that thing?
But you know what? Everything that everybody was...
Tax cuts for the rich,
you know, when I hear tax cuts for the rich, and then when I hear Bonner say, when I hear him say right before the president, we got to get this health care off the table, and then President Obama is going, no, we're not. And he's going, yes, we are. No, we're not.
Well,
yes, we are. Then why, how is anybody going to get anything done?
When the majority of Americans...
Why do we let the president in for 4 years if we're not going to give him a chance to do what he has?
Well, let
me finish one thing, Elizabeth. It's just like when you go and you exercise, Elizabeth, you got to go through the hard stuff to get to the fruition of what happens.
In 2 years.
I mean, after 18 months, I'm not saying you said it.
If we recall, I actually think he'll do a better job.
18 months. He's got 4 years. We've never even said, let's see if this stuff that he's trying to put in will work.
It hasn't been.
18 months.
Sherry, I could have had 2 children by now.
Elizabeth, we've let other presidents do this for 8 years.
Sherry,
we've given it a chance.
How about healthcare? Can I just say one thing? Healthcare. You just said, what about healthcare? Why do they want to push healthcare off? If Boehner gets in and we're supposed to represent what the American people want, the majority of the American people do not want this healthcare bill.
Wait a second. Can I say something to that? Let me say something to that. Do you really think that those people who have cancer and other diseases who haven't been able to get health insurance because of a pre-existing condition are going to vote against that? Do you think that's true?
Joy. My mom was in a situation... Cher. It's the hair. Joy. My mother was one of those people, had breast cancer. We were in a tough financial situation, okay? Not an easy one to go through. This package is not the one. There is a way, but it's not this way.
I'm going to move on because we got a lot to cover today. We're going to be we're going to talk about this some more. Ohio's John Boehner was overcome at the realization that he was now the new Speaker of the House. Take a look.
I spent my whole life chasing the American dream. I poured my heart and soul into running a small business. And when I saw how out of touch Washington had become with the core values of this great nation, I put my name forward and ran for office.
He should be called the weeper of the house. The guy hasn't stopped crying. He's always crying.
I think, this is a man, when you think about his family and what he's done, he's actually come and he's got a really interesting story. Hardworking family in Ohio. And I think he feels he's wrapped around the pulse of what's going on right now. He's seeing
Well, you know what? He unseated Nancy Pelosi. He unseated Nancy Pelosi. We'll see what these guys can get done. We'll see what goes on. But right now, we get to go. But I need to talk to y'all about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, this is the McRib. The McRib from Mickey Day. And they only, it's not always on the menu. Only occasionally.
What's it made out of?
I think it's made out of some ribs.
Mystery meat.
Do ribs have bone in them?
Yeah,
Ribs do have bone in them, but you know how some folks, we can get to a rib bone and be right. So I think about that. But we're going to go and come right back. I don't know if these guys are going to try this with me, but folks do you know that people are lined up around the block to get these?
And it's like a scavenger hunt, right?
It's crazy.
People try to find the McRib.
Joy killer, but there's 24 grams of fat in that. Just saying.
Otherwise, it's 8 points.
Wait a minute. Do I look like I care?
No, you don't. I'm telling America.
We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. Hell yeah! We mentioned that John Boehner unseated Nancy Pelosi, and Andrea Mitchell thinks there's a big reason she didn't connect with voters. Take a look.
That a lot of folks feel she never took the advantage of her gender and her historic role and translated that to average working women. Perhaps it's a matter of class. She was always so perfectly attired and coiffed. That's a very sexist thing. But I think I can say, just as a political analyst, that she didn't have that working class feel that the Democratic rank and file wanted, and she became the obvious target.
Oh, like the Kennedys had a working class feel? I mean, that's that. First of all, Nancy Pelosi never cried. She had too much Botox, probably, but really. But she never cried. She never blinked. She was tough. Talk about man up. That was Pelosi, and she's gone now, and I miss her.
I'm so sad.
So was Kennedy, when you say Kennedys, though, was
Kennedys were not relatable. They were to the manner born.
What I'm asking you, when you say
they
were not relatable, was it a different time when people liked to look up at them and it was just like, they're there?
I mean,
well,
Jackie
now this
Kennedy,
is a different
Jackie
time
Kennedy
now.
used to have Jose Iturbi and various incredible high-level artists in the White House.
And we love that. We love that royal thing going on, but now it's a little bit different.
It has nothing to do with why people may not feel that they could relate to Nancy Pelosi. I think if she's looking to relate to the middle class and middle-class women and working women, I think it's a tough time to relate to those who maybe have lost jobs and women who are looking to her for some sort of change that didn't happen.
Relatability is empathy and policy. I mean, you can talk about Obama. Obama's heart is in the right place. He cares about health care. He cares about children.
It's just the method that's hard.
But that's what I call empathy and relatability. I don't care if they're cold in their presentation. It's irrelevant. It's what do you have on the table to help people who need it.
But now, wouldn't you agree now, though, Joy, that right now both of those things are in jeopardy? The method, which admittedly so by Obama himself yesterday, is not working. How it got fixed, how it tried to get fixed was not working. In agreement
he said
with
it wasn't working, baby. I think he said
how they did it.
He said he
statistics show it didn't
said to
work.
me during the break, which I just will repeat, that there's an article out that when FDR was doing the New Deal, it took 3 years basically to get us a little bit out of the Depression. It takes time to do the things that somebody like FDR or Obama want to do.
It's hard to hear it going into a heating bill season, holiday season. It's hard to hear it when you're in the middle of
But
America and everybody's
for
not
so
working.
long, we didn't buckle down and do this. For so long, we refinanced our houses, and with the extra money, we got a boat. Then we went to Jamaica. We got greedy. And now everybody's asking us to buckle down, and we got to go through some hard times. Now we don't want to do it.
There was a promise made early on, and that promise was not kept. That's where people are having a hard time.
Promises now. I don't know how.
Story, Elizabeth. Wait a second. I have to take a shot at Clinton, because Clinton basically did NAFTA, which sent a lot of manufacturing jobs out of the country. And he also started the deregulation in the financial industry, which Bush continued very strongly during those 8 years, which is partly what brought us to this point.
Agreed.
So now we have to get back to a little regulation, maybe, of the financial.
You cannot ask Americans to relate to you if you don't tap into that, and the process isn't working.
Some Americans didn't even believe he was American. So getting them to relate to them, I mean, it's going to take a while. Listen, I have another one. George W. Bush, he has a new book coming out, and he was very affected by something that Kanye West said. Kanye said, Bush doesn't care about black people. Now, the comment was made about on a Katrina telethon, and he said, I resent it. And he was unhappy, Mr. Bush. He said he resented hearing that because he felt it was one of the most.
He said the lowest point, one of the lowest points in his presidency. He said he was disgusted by hearing that, and it was interesting because Kanye West came out and said, "I definitely can understand the way he feels."
Now
he came out and made this comment because he was accused of being a racist with the Taylor Swift incident when he jumped on stage and interrupted Taylor Swift during her acceptance speech.
Bush saying that was the lowest point? Does he forget about Katrina, Iraq?
No, he was talking about Katrina.
No, that should have been the lowest point. In other words, Bush should have said, well, the lowest point was when I didn't respond to the Katrina victims.
But I think,
when I sent boys to Iraq when there were no WMD. Those are the lowest points. Not that somebody said tapped into your narcissistic disorder.
And I think there were a lot of people who felt that way. Like Bush said, he should not have flown over Katrina. He should have come down.
Remorse.
But I think there were a lot of people who didn't have a voice, who felt that he didn't care.
You know what? It's the same thing that we're going to find over and over and over. People see what they need to see, or they see what they see, and no one explains that what they're seeing is wrong. We get it on the left, in the middle, on the right. This is the way that we've become now. Anybody can say, boom. That's one of the things that Kanye says. He said, we play the race card. I did that, and now I know because it was played on me.
It was a lack of compassion, not racism. It was a lack of compassion.
Which I think Kanye...
But it always happens when the shoe is on the other foot.
Also good for you, too, for saying, look, this bothered me.
It's true.
I like that. I don't have a lot in common with him, but I could empathize with him, And, you could empathize with us, because we have to go. But we'll come back with more Hot Topics. These are the important things that we should have been talking about, and now we've got time. Heidi and Spencer Pratt have been on The View before talking about looking for ways to stay in the spotlight. But I mentioned to them that they sure needed to keep an eye on their money because, who knew how long the spotlight was going to be on? Look. As much business as you guys have done, you with the hairspray and the cleaning stuff and everything that you're doing,
my trash shampoo.
You better get yourself together or you're going to be in the street. You're going to have to take responsibility. You're too old now. See, last year was cute. Now you're adults.
Differently.
Wow.
Yeah, well, look,
right? They lost all their money.
Well, they're broke now, right? So clearly they didn't listen because they told Life and Style they blew $10 million on houses, cars, planes, plastic surgeries, and Heidi's music career.
But it just goes to show you I think people who can't sustain their talent. No, people who cannot sustain their talent, they go broke. I mean, because when you get these people, nobody's going to pay to see anybody that didn't. What were they offering to the world? Really, truly.
That's what they said.
They
10 minutes of fame.
You
Well, they thought they would have the career that the Real World had. They thought they'd have a long 10-year career, but they said we didn't see the Jersey Shore coming. So the Jersey Shore.
But if the Jersey Shore doesn't, if the Jersey Shore, look, but let me tell you about these kids. They came up.
I told them the same thing.
You told everybody that comes on
laughed at me. Everybody laughed and said, "Why are you talking?" I do, because listen, I see so many. I see it in sports. I see it in entertainment. You can't just hand somebody something. $10 million. I don't care if you come from money. You didn't earn that money, so you don't know how to pay taxes. By the way, there are $2 million in tax in the hole. Brooke and Spencer.
Did they file for
bankruptcy? If these Jersey Shore kids, now they're the next big thing, the Jersey Shore. If they don't do something other than what they're doing, slapping people in the faces and being drunk at clubs, they're going to be broke too. They're going to go right back to where they were.
It's branding themselves. You know, she's got the hair thing. Everybody was dressed up.
How long is that going to last, Joe? You got 15 minutes to brand yourself with the hair. You got to do something more.
The situation is doing fine because he's making the plans. I talked to him. I did talk to him, and I tried to talk to them because, you know, you don't think it's going to go away. But it's like people don't realize careers are like this. So you could be the hottest thing out of the gate right now, but, you know, 10 years later, you're here trying to figure out what you're going to do. So you need to be versatile. And if you don't have any talent when you're going into this, you better sure enough find somebody
dancing with the stars.
Look, you say, no, because that's not going to last. Remember, 50% goes to the government. You have to say to your cousin, your aunt, hold that dollar. You say 1, 2, 3 for me, 1, 2 for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me, 1, 2 for you. You got to do it.
I think that what the mistake you're making is that they think that they have talent. They do think they have it. That's the problem.
But I think they're lulled into this false sense of reality of thinking they have to. It's a false sense of reality because people watch it all the time. It's like looking at
it as a business rather than a showbiz career.
Well,
it's a business.
Maybe this is what happens. You know, at Duke University, a fraternity is under fire for a Halloween invite to a party that read, whether you're dressing up as a slutty nurse, a slutty doctor, a slutty schoolgirl, or just a total slut, we invite you.
God.
Now, a lot of people have been saying that too many women take that approach to Halloween costumes, that, you know, they're not wearing witchy stuff, they're wearing, you know...
Like, I'm a bunny, and
I'm the slutty nurse. It's never the full nurse costume. It's a short nurse with the garter belt costume. But I don't think we have...
Can I recommend that everybody go the way I came on this show? Can we show that picture? That's me, a fat... Now, okay... Slutty to blind men, maybe. But
I bet you, let me tell you something, I bet you it's a lot of perverts that love that look, Joy.
Little Orphan Annie.
But I think we don't have, we're really finding a lack of the good, nobody celebrates the good girls anymore. It's always the bad girls that are being celebrated. Whether you're talking about the TV shows,
I think you shouldn't say that girls who are thought of as being sluts, they're not necessarily bad girls. I think that's...
When I say the bad girls, this is like the little naughty girls. I think that...
Naughty is better.
The naughty girls. I think that when you try to think of a good girl, even in the music, like all the young girls that started out in like with the, you know, in our little shows that the girls watch, now they're going over to this side where they're being a little bit more naughty, they've been a little bit more racy.
What's her name? Who is that woman who used to do Cosmopolitan magazine? Helen
Gurley Brown.
She said, good girls go to heaven, bad girls go everywhere.
See, and it makes it sound great.
You know what?
Good girls sound boring.
If you're a good girl, a naughty girl, whatever kind of girl you are, we're the same kind of girls, and we're going to be back. And when we come back, we're bringing back Shannon Doherty.
I thought you guys were my friends. I loved you. I trusted you both. Brenda, please.
We didn't plan this, Brent.
No, of course you didn't plan it, Dylan. You just let it happen. And you lied to me, both of you, for months and months. You know, when I broke up with you, you made it seem like Kelly was just some girl you picked to go out with. You made it seem so innocent, like it was my fault.
Wow.
I remember watching that. Brenda was the good girl of Beverly Hills 90210, but tabloids painted her alter ego, Shannon Doherty, as a troublemaker behind the scenes, and she sets the record straight in her new book, Badass. Please welcome Shannon Doherty. Shannon gives a good hug.
Great hug.
How many times have I been on this show? It's like family. I love
You've
it.
been here a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
I've co-hosted with you.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I have.
I remember that. I think I was having one of the kids that day.
Yes.
I think I was birthing and watching you, and you did a great job. Thank you. 90210, speaking of watching, I seriously was glued to the TV anytime it was on. You guys became huge celebrities at the time, and you know, the tabloids always had you out. They kind of painted you as this troublemaker, as I said, bad girl with a chip on her shoulder. Were you really angry, and was that going on?
I don't think it was anger. I think I was scared. I think I was really scared because what nobody knew, because they didn't talk about it, was that my mother had almost died when I was 10. She had a 10% chance of living from an aneurysm. And then at the age of 12, my dad got very sick. And my dad's had 10 strokes and 9 heart attacks and quintuple bypass heart surgery, and he's, you know, not in great shape. And I've been through it, and trying to come to terms with when you're that age, with possibly losing a parent when they're your best friend and they're everything to you, is hard. And I think that you're so scared and you have so much fear. Maybe it comes out as anger, but it's not anger. It's just panic.
You had a lot on your shoulders too, along with that fear. Did that affect your relationships with any of your coworkers, like Jason Priestley, Tori Spelling?
I mean, nobody really knew what I was going through because I didn't exactly share it. You know, I can say that a week and a half ago, I directed Brian in a web show. So it didn't affect them in the sense of where I couldn't be friends with people. And doing the new 90210, Jenny and I reconnected on a completely different level as women who have grown up and experienced life and really got along and liked each other.
Tori's
You know,
had her share of aggravation over the years too, so she understands.
Yeah.
It's so funny because even though, you know, you considered yourself a bad girl, you never considered yourself a bitch, which I think a lot of people put that term on you. So why didn't you consider yourself a bitch?
Well, because I think, are we really allowed to say bitch right now?
Ask Joy,
The FCC does not disapprove of that word.
Okay, good,
So
good.
they can bleep anybody.
I wasn't a bitch because I'm so happy to be able to say that right now. Because I think bitches are malicious. I think that they do things maliciously, and there's no compassion and integrity and regard for others. And I was never malicious, and I've always had compassion, and I've always had, you know, integrity. It just, maybe I got lost along the way.
What do you think that people were objecting to with your behavior? Why do you think they were saying?
I think it was. I think you also have to look at the day and age. You know, it was a brand new show. It became so huge, and all of a sudden you have these teenagers going out. And really, I mean, we were 19 years old. Who wouldn't have gone out? You know, normally you're in college at 19 and 20, and you're going to frat parties or doing that. We were going to clubs, and granted, I would never let my kids, you know, do that. At this point, I would throw them in convents or whatever.
Everybody says that.
Right? And compared to what we see now, though, I mean, you'd be considered a good girl,
By the way, I never had a sex tape, and I always wore panties.
So let me ask you, because let me ask you. The name of the book is Badass.
Yes.
Now, most people think, oh, well, what does that mean? What is your definition of badass?
My definition of a badass is the most amazing woman that you can find. It is my grandmother, who is this incredibly strong, confident woman. But she doesn't have to come on so strong. She doesn't have to be overbearing. She can smile and be charming. She's from the South.
Right.
And she can be diplomatic, and she has integrity and compassion. But she can stand up for herself. She is deputized. She carries a gun.
Yeah.
You know, she is a badass. I think there are so many examples. I think Angelina Jolie, when a long time ago, we were like, okay, she's really talented. Where is she going here? And where she's gone is as a humanitarian and a beautiful woman, a beautiful person, and everything that she does for this world. That's a badass.
But there's also a switching point, and you talk about it in the book too. You realize that in your life, you came to a point after some rough time that you needed to change. So can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
I was 27 and I got a DUI, and you know, they're sort of given away. Like so many people are getting DUIs now, and they're not taking responsibility for it. And I got one, and it was the most embarrassing, humiliating, shameful experience of my life. And I have to thank Ventura County also, because I got mine in Ventura County, not Los Angeles County. And they put me through the ringer. It wasn't like, oh, she's in jail for 10 hours and she gets released and she's on probation. I didn't get that. I was in jail for, you know, probably around 20 hours. It was hellish. They made me go speak to high schools that didn't care what I had to say, but I had to go do it anyway. And then I had to pay a very, very, very large fine. And then I had to go do 6 months of community service cleaning toilets at a homeless center. And I deserved it. I absolutely 100% deserved it. And it changed me. I looked at my parents and I was humiliated for them because that's not who they raised.
Yeah. Do you think that they're too lenient accountability punishments given to celebrities now?
Yeah, but I just think that we've become, you know, it's too much. Instant gratification is everywhere for everyone, not just celebrities. It's for all of you too. You know, we have the internet and we go on and we want everything right here and we love to read gossip and so everything's been taken up to such this intense level that, I mean, these girls are, you know, drugs at airports and no underwear and sex tapes and, and rehab 8 times. It's like, come on.
You keep saying sex tapes, so it brings me to this question. You were with, you had 2 relationships, Ashley Hamilton and Rick Holman, who made Rick Solomon, who made the sex tape with Paris Hilton. And so you didn't make the sex tape, but just being with these guys, what did it teach you about men?
Right, well, I obviously didn't know that Rick had a sex tape. Otherwise, I would not have married him. And it taught me, well, first and foremost, I think it taught me to maybe date longer. You know, that's probably
10 years. 10 years is good.
Even a year.
For little holes in the wall. Check for holes in the wall. Make sure there's no camera.
Yeah, look for the nanny cams and the teddy bears.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But really, it's about getting to know the person, dating them for a long period of time, and knowing yourself and your standards and what you want.
You know what? You are such a badass. We love you, Shannon. We like when you come here. She's got more great stories. We want to thank Shannon Doherty for being here. Members of the audience are taking home a copy of her book. We'll be right back.
To Curb Your Enthusiasm stars Larry David anymore. Don't you love that? But they still both make it a priority to have family dinners together with their children. And she's here to tell us why they feel it's so vital and what to serve. Please welcome Laurie David.
Thank you.
Laurie! Okay, girl. First of all, you are the producer of the Oscar-winning film, An Inconvenient Truth. So now, how did you go from environment to family dinners and this book of amazing recipes? Why is that so important to you?
Well, here's what happened. It was an ordinary school night. I'm sitting at the table, and dessert was long since over, and my 2 teenage daughters are still sitting there talking to me. Yeah. So I had this moment where it was like, oh my gosh, I've done one thing right or something right as a parent, and that is to insist on the ritual of family dinner, and I'm reaping all the benefits of it now.
Yeah, it's like the bath is for toddlers, maybe the dinner table is for teens, right? It's that place where
but the thing is, you have to start when they're young, because if you start when they're older, they're not going to want to do it anymore. Now it's second nature, and I love that Whoopi's already eating the food.
Let's start.
I want to start with the food. Is this the chicken schnitzel?
This is chicken schnitzel. Okay, this is a great recipe in the cookbook. I don't know if everybody saw that Jamie Oliver segment where he showed you what's actually in a chicken nugget, and I want all those chicken nuggets back from all those years I fed them to my kids. Make your own chicken nuggets, and we call it chicken schnitzel. You'll know what's in it, and they're delicious, and it's great for the lunchbox the next day. Slice this up, and the greatest feeling is when the lunchbox comes back and the food's gone.
It's empty.
It's been eaten.
It is real.
This is real chicken that's in it.
Exactly what goes
This is organic chicken, and it's delicious, and you can do all kinds of dips, and it's
I want to mention too, like there's something interesting that you do, and it's been 3 years since the divorce, right, Laurie? But you guys do something called nesting, and you also insist on a family dinner. So he comes over and you guys have dinner, or you do a switch. Explain to everyone.
Okay. Well, first of all, it was my goal from I love Larry, and he's an amazing guy, and it was my goal to get him back to the dinner table at some point. And over the course of time, and I write about this in the book. There's a whole chapter about it. It happened. We got him back to the table, and now we have once every week and a half dinner with him, and it's been a fantastic thing. Nesting takes two very amicable partners,
What is that?
which basically meant when we split up, we shared the house. So he came twice, two nights a week, and I would leave, and he would come, and he'd have dinner with the kids and stay there that night. And I'd go stay at my sister's house. Instead of moving the kids around, we moved around.
You moved around the kids.
Wow. I mean, it's a really fantastic approach if you can do it, and you do have the amicable partnership.
Do it, but if you can do it, it's a great way to go.
All right, now the next dish that we have is Asian shrimp cake. Whoopi, can you pass that over? Asian shrimp cake.
Everyone has to try this, and my best advice is to double this recipe because you will not be able to stop eating them. And this got my kids eating fish for the first time. And just call them Asian cakes. You don't even have to mention the word shrimp.
I'll make a gluten-free version of it, I promise.
No, they're fantastic. What do you think?
No, what's this? This is good. This is very
Asian
good.
shrimp cakes.
This is one of your favorites.
Fantastic. And here's another way. Tomorrow, when you have leftovers, serve them with lettuce wraps and some crunchy bean sprouts or something on it, and you have a whole new dish. And that's the other thing I love about all the food in this. I love leftovers. I love one dish lasting 3 days or 2 days and putting things in the freezer.
Okay, let's talk about something dishy.
Okay.
There's a rumor that you were having an affair with Al Gore. True or not true?
Over the schnitzel, we're going to discuss
Thank you. The fact that everybody's laughing, I think that's the answer. No, it's completely false. But you know what was interesting about that crazy rumor? Is that it came out in the summer, in the middle of the oil spill, and I actually had this thought that someone at BP leaked this story to try to distract attention from what was going on. For 2 minutes.
And the masseuse story also was leaked at that time, too, when they said he was...
a lot being leaked.
Yeah, a lot being leaked. Besides the Gulf oil leak.
Thank you so much. This is a Caesar pizza, right? This is Caesar salad pizza.
It's hard. It's a tongue twister, but this is a concept in the book that I love, which is that one of the great things you could do in your home at dinner is to get everyone participating in the meal, right?
Yes, like helping you.
Helping. And also, if kids are feel like they're part of it, they're going to eat more. They're going to take more ownership. And so this is pizza, which everybody eats. Obviously, you kind of make it your own. It's a little hard. I think you're so brave for eating food on the air.
Laurie, I have to say something that you said, which I love. That sitting kids together, little kids at a table is a dress rehearsal for when they're older. Because I know I sit with Jeffrey at night at his little toddler table and we eat. But you got the desserts I want to get to. You got something called divorce brownies.
Yes.
Divorce brownies.
I want one of them. And icebox cookies. What is this?
Well, divorce brownies is my girlfriend's recipe, and the reason for that is really because chocolate makes everyone feel better, right?
Okay,
so if you're going through a divorce, make some brownies. Right. And icebox cookies is a great example of passing your recipes down. I can't urge you enough to get your grandma's recipes, get your mom's recipes, and write them down and pass them down. And it means it's food love memories for people.
So true.
And so those are my friends.
Thank you. This is really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks so much to Laurie David. Members of our studio audience are going home with a copy of The Family Dinner. We will be right back.
We had a great time. I hope you had a great time, too. Listen, have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy what? The dinner! There you go. See you tomorrow.
One of TV's finest hours, Grey's Anatomy, all news tonight at 9, 8 Central on ABC.